back to the shop, guys. I hope that everyone is doing amazing this Monday evening, or whenever you're watching this. For those that are new here, I am the convicted Christian. I did almost 10 years in prison. I am now 7 years clean and sober, all thanks to the love of God for me. So, for those that are returning viewers, you know that it is Life Story Monday, where I talk about what got me to this point and the things that happened to shape who I am today. Last week, we left off at me just being out and not listening whatsoever. I do have a funny story that happened. Actually, it didn't happen at this time. You're going to have to wait for the funny story. But I do have kind of a funny interaction with the police sort of thing. At least I think it's funny looking back. I know my mom got a kick out of it for a while. So we're going to pick up with the fact that now I am living with my wife, my first wife, and it's going as bad as it possibly can be. We just constant fighting, constant insecurity on my part, constant insecurity on her part, and I'm still not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm still not following what the PO is asking me to do. I'm not really working. I mean, on and off, here and there. I didn't really want to work. I wanted to skate. And because I had learned how to live with so little, I didn't need a lot. I'm still kind of that way. I don't need a lot. I love the comforts that I have. But if they disappeared, find something to do. Figure it out. And so, yeah, things just are not going well at this point. At this point, I had stopped using the smokable type of mind-altering substance and moved over to using pills and other harder manufactured substances that definitely did some stuff to me. Like, you may not see it now. Like, I'm a big guy. I'm a broad-shouldered guy, wide hips. I'm a big dude. At this time in my life, though, I mean, I was maybe 175 pounds, which is small for me. Like, super small. When I left the military academy, I was just over 200 pounds, and I was skirting with like 10% body fat. I'm built big, so 175 is pretty small for me. And it did not look good on me. I mean, you could see ribs whenever I didn't have my shirt on, which wasn't very often. And I wasn't in a good spot at all, not even slightly. And you know, I was battling with my own issues and my own demons and my own, problems that surfaced from the things that I put myself through. It wasn't anyone else's fault but my own. And yet, I was still going through it. And because I was going through it, I was putting my previous wife through it as well, which wasn't fair to her. And vice versa. She was dealing with her own stuff, and I was getting drugged through that as well. And at this time, I'm super... So, I was an absolute walking contradiction. I used to get very jealous. Like, I was very, very controlling. And not in a, I'm going to make you do what I want. I was controlling in who you got to see if you were with me. Because if you wanted to hang out with someone that I thought was more attractive than me or more suave or whatever the case may be, I struggled with that. and because I struggled with it, I didn't want that for my wife, and um, I knew that at this point she had cheated on me, and I knew who she cheated on me with. But because I was a weak-minded individual, I was too much of a coward to confront her or him. That's the short and dirty of it. And since I never confronted it and my own issues and my own struggles with that, it just festered and festered and festered. And here's the thing, I ended up cheating on her with someone that I knew from high school. And in this time, she knew that jealousy was a way to control me in turn. You know, when she wanted me to do something, she would say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I'm just going to go hang out with so and so," and that would get me to do what she wanted me to do because in my jealousy, I would just want to make her happy so that she would do what I wanted. Dysfunctional relationship. That's what that was. Absolutely dysfunctional. And that went on for a couple months, month at most. Well, she ended up pulling that. She ended up pulling that again, and this was the one and only time that I ever drove drunk. And I absolutely hated it. I don't understand how people can constantly do that. It scared the bejesus out of me. I never wanted to do it again. But because I didn't have a handle on my anger, I got over the discomfort of driving under the influence so that I could get there and confront her because it was the combination of anger and alcohol meant that I was essentially no longer a functioning coward. I was now a dysfunctional, drunk, angry person. And so I went back to the apartment that we were sharing, and we commenced to have a verbal argument that is not quiet. I am not a quiet person. Even when I think I'm quiet, I'm not a quiet person. Call it big, barrel chested, whatever. My volume control is not one of my best features. And when you've been drinking and you're angry, it's definitely, or for me, it's definitely not a controlled volume situation. And somehow we ended up outside. I don't remember how we ended up outside, and I was going to walk away. I was frustrated. I had someone else's car, and I was going to walk away. But because the comfort, that comfort zone, and I knew what would happen with a little bit more time with my ex-wife, I didn't leave. That's what I'm trying to say. And I would, took a step towards a car. She would say something. I would take a step away from the car. And that went on for a while. Well, apparently, when you're basically yelling and you're already a very loud man, at 2 o'clock in the morning, people hear you. They call the cops on me. And so, in this time, it was, again, almost a relief because I wouldn't have to deal with her, and I knew that she would feel bad for me going to jail, and so it was almost like a weird reverse manipulation thing in my mind, even though I was the one going to jail. And so it was almost a relief. But for some reason this time, I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to quit at all. So, like an idiot, my brain remembered things that it never would have remembered and ran scenarios it never would have ran sober. And I remember that I'm sitting in the back of the squad car, and it was a hot day. They had the window down, and it clicked in my mind that I never heard the door lock. And on most squad cars, you can't open the door from the inside. But when the window's open, you can reach the outside. And at the time, I was skinny enough and flexible enough, I could get the cuffs in front of me. So I did. And I opened that door, and I'm going to tell you one thing, I was gone. I mean, I was gone so fast, I ended up losing my shoes, and I just ran my tail off. And the particular officer that was detaining me, which I'll tell you about that after this, and that'll probably be the end of this video in a little bit, he was not exactly the most physical fit guy. He could not keep up. So they ended up having to call more officers. They ended up having to call the Manitowoc County Canine Unit because where I was living, they didn't have a canine unit. And looking back, there's things that I could have done to not get caught. And I thought about them at the time. And something just stopped me. I think I just didn't want to run. This was I was thinking more about my future, maybe. I don't know what was running through my head. But I didn't run when I could have. Or ran further when I could have. And so, dogs end up finding me. I try to run again. And I'll tell you one thing. When a police German Shepherd bites you in the butt, it makes you want to get on the ground real fast. And so I did, and so yeah, I got bit in the butt by a police dog. Brought me to the hospital, and there's nothing wrong with me. Definitely, I understand why they use them dogs, because they definitely make you want to get down. Feel bad for the dog having to bite me on the butt. Anyways, but here's the thing. After talking with the officer, because they got me back in the squad car, and I knew him. He used to be my school liaison officer. That's how small this town is. I knew the cop personally, and he just looked at me, and he said, "Why? I said, "Well, I was going to jail anyway, so I thought maybe I'd give myself a second chance or something." And this is to all you guys that think that things are over. Nothing's ever over. If it's plain as day over. Nothing's ever over. Because he looked at me and he said, "I was just detaining you. You were going to get a ticket for public intoxication. You were going to told to go to someone else's house, sleep it off, and I wasn't taking you to jail tonight." But because I didn't see a way out, not only did I get bit on the butt by a dog, but now I have my third felony of escape. And I still got the ticket for public intoxication. And so there it was again, on my way to prison all over again. But again, it was a relief. And honestly, going to prison again probably saved my life. Because my drinking and my using was getting out of control. Again. And so it was with relief and knowing what was going to come next. Even though it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, even though I knew that there was going to be guards I didn't like, and other prisoners I didn't like, and other inmates I didn't like, it was finally over. And the responsibilities that I didn't want were now gone. The things that I needed to do, I no longer needed to do, because when you're a prisoner, you really don't have any responsibilities. And as sad as it is to say, I could take a breath, I could heal, I could sober up. It was a way of keeping me alive. And maybe in the back of my head, that's what I wanted at this time of my life. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't remember from this time because of my usage. But that's going to be the end for today. A little bit shorter video. I got stuff I got to do with that thing up there. It's definitely taken shape. So I'm really happy that you guys continue to watch my videos. And you guys still comment, even though it's not a comment every video. It's a comment every now and again. And I appreciate it. It does mean quite a lot to me. More than you know. And I enjoy making this content. I enjoy talking about my life. Even if it's hard at times. So, thank you for coming. I hope to see you here again. Tune in on Wednesday and I'll talk about some of the things that I learned during this time, especially when it comes to my wife, or my ex-wife. And always remember, if we're going to change the world, we can't run from our problems or run from cops. So we can change ourselves. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.